good evening to all. Myself Vaibhav. I welcome all of you to today's session of Visual JForex, in which we will continue our work using the indicator Zigzag. This is the third and final part of this series involving this indicator. So let us now head to the Visual JForex board, which has been developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA. It is taking a bit time. Okay, so here we are. In last two sessions, the development so far included this instrument subscription, where the Euro USD is being used as the instrument of choice. Afterwards, the position amount was defined at 0. I added the zigzag block to define the conditions, and then there's get historical candle data is also being utilized to set the conditions involving the price volatility to exactly pinpoint the entry point. These two 10-second candle blocks are also being used, and these variables have been created using the calculation expression block. And on the lower side, we have these conditions in place for the execution of the buy trade. Now in this session, we have to build the mirror image of this buy side, which is going to help us in execution of the sell side trade. I will first explain to you the logic of what the conditions are. We are relying on the hourly time frame. This is the Euro USD chart, which we are using as the instrument of choice for this session. So we want to be trading after substantial move has happened, and we are looking at the possibility of a possible move in the reverse direction. So whenever we see the last hourly candle close happening below the zigzag output value of the second last hour, and there should have been significant decline in the last hour, only in that situation we will start looking to trade. So here we have these last hourly candle closing on the lower side with significant decline, and the prior hourly candle is on the rise. And if we consider the output value of the zigzag, it is on the higher side. So in such a scenario, the sale execution might happen under the conditions of our algorithmic setup. And we also want to make sure that the decline in the last hour was significant. So we are also taking into consideration the difference between the closing value and the opening value of the last hour, and it should be greater than the difference between the closing value and the opening value of the prior hour, where we will need the prior hour's candle to have closed higher compared to the opening value, whereas in the last hour the closing value needs to be on the lower side compared to the opening value. So that's the condition. So now we head back to the Visual JForex board, where we will look to implement the idea. The idea is fairly simple, quite easy to understand and equally easy to implement. So we have now the job to implement it. So we have this difference calculated of the last hourly candle open and the closing price. We had set the condition that the opening price should be higher than the closing price. So here we are looking at this calculation where the closing price is deducted from the opening price, and we also need to consider the price difference of the candle 16 candle close and open, where the candle close needs to have been higher. So I will need to find out the difference. So for that we need to bring in the calculation expression block. Auto created variables, candle 16 candle close, and then we deduct candle 16 candle open. So this will be a1 minus a2, and we are going to have this variable named sed1. All right, We also need one more of this calculation expression block to figure out the sale execution price. We are going for the pending open order, just like the way we did for the buy side, and that means we have to look at the current tick price and add it to the actual difference of the last hour's open and closing price. Okay, so we take last tick ask and to it whatever is the difference of the last hour's open and close price, I will add it. So this will become A1 plus A2, which will be our limit order price. Order validity will be same as the buy side, so we don't really have to define a new variable for that. Alright, now I think I can now join it to the multiple action, and we start adding the conditions using the if block. So I will take this 6 if blocks, as we have to make sure that the formation is symmetric while defining the conditions for the execution of the buy trade. We had used 6 of these. Same number of if blocks will be used now. Yeah, and then the pending open command order. We need candle 15 candle close to be lower than the zigzag 19 output value, which is the penultimate hour zigzag output value. So we have first input less than second input. We also need to make sure that there was decline in the last hour. So I will take candle 15 candle close and compare it to candle 15 candle close needs to be less than candle 15 candle open. So this becomes first input less than second input, and the second last hourly candle, it should have closed higher compared to the opening price. So then we take candle 16 candle close and opening price. So here we have candle 16 candle close and open price being compared. So in this case, first input needs to be greater, and then we compare the actual price difference between the candle 15 candle close and the candle 16 candle close respectively. So we have to now consider SSD1 and SED1, and here the first input needs to be greater than second input. So with all these conditions defined, we look at the entry point now, which is going to be the last hour's close price. As and when the price starts to drop below the last hour's closing price, we will look to initiate the trade. The order will be placed with the order validity of 2 hours. So we have to compare the candle 15 candle close. So that will be the common input in both of these blocks with the closing values of these two 10-second candles, candle 17 and candle 18. Candle 17 is the last 10-second candle, so we need candle 17 candle close to be greater. So this is going to be not greater, actually lower. It should be in decline. First input less than second input, whereas candle 18 candle close needs to have been higher. All right. We have this line connected to the block, and after that we bring in the trade command block, which I will join it to the last one here. First input greater than second input. Now it's time to define the input parameters for the trade command block. This is going to be a sell limit order, and we go for the sell execution price. Default instrument remains as it is. Trade amount I will change to 0.1 million. Slippage is going to be 2 pips. Stop loss and take profit we will go in the ratio of 2 is to 3. Oh, this should be 20 pips, not 2 pips. And target price should be 30 pips. This is not fixed ratio. If you feel like you can change it, you can go as per your preferences, as per your requirement. Order validity, we had defined it in the last station, so I will use the same variable which will give us the order validity of 2 hours. So with this, our setup is complete, and it is indeed looking like the mirror image of the buy side. Okay, so with this I am finishing this session, and I hope you have been able to understand the logical as well as the execution part of this algorithm involving the indicator Zigzag. For further coverage of the market developments, do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there. For carrying out the testing on the historical data, you will need the assistance of the JForex platform. So all these links have been provided in the bio. Thank you all for joining in. See you next time around. Till then, goodbye.